All right, everyone, welcome to another Dragon Plus live stream. Although this week we have a very special topic. We're not going to be doing Dragon Plus. We're kicking things over. I am going to be your co-host this week, as Lysa Penrose is going to be our host. And Lisa, what are we doing this week?
This is a Dungeon Masters Guild Design Dash. So if you've never watched our show, which is usually on Fridays, Design Dash is sort of like Iron Chef or Project Runway or the Great British Baking Show, but mixed with Dungeons and Dragons. So our lovely contestants down there are going to have to design an encounter based on a secret theme with only 15 minutes.
That is a good challenge for anyone. I don't think I can do anything work related in 15 minutes. So my hat's off to our participants slash contestants slash winners. We've already decided everyone is a winner in advance. It's just the level of winningness that remains to be determined. So why don't we meet everyone? Who would like to go first? On my screen, we've got Hannah in the #1 slot. Should we say hello?
Oh, Lisa did not prepare me to go first. I'm in the middle of
the twists are already happening in Design Dash.
Oh my gosh. I am Hannah Rose. I am a editor, primarily an editor, but also sometimes a writer and designer for Dungeons and Dragons. You can find me on the internet at Wild Rose Mage. And some of my work on the DMsGuild, including encounters in Theros, the DMsGuild Adept project, which James Introcaso also worked on.
I'm James Introcaso. Thank you so much for that, Hannah. I am also a Dungeon Masters Guild adept. I've worked on a bunch of different hardcovers, including Mythic Odysseys of Theros, which hopefully you have in your digital hands in some way. And I also currently have a Kickstarter. It's cool to pimp this, right? Go to fantasticlayers.com to check out a book of 5th edition boss battles and mini dungeons that I'm making with Scott Gray and Mike Shea, and many, many other people, including Lysa Penrose. So yes, go check it out. And I am excited to be here today because I know that speed is part of the strength of this. And Hannah and Wes are editors, right? So they're like very used to doing things precisely, whereas I just make mistakes for them to fix most of the time. So I've been preparing my whole reckless writing career for this, is what it feels like.
Goodness gracious. And in fact, you've helped host a Design Dash before.
I did.
Do you think, what as a host prepared you to be a contestant on Design Dash?
I think the amount of ridicule that I gave to other people about which one of us was Mary Berry really prepared me now to say that you, Lisa, were Mary Berry the whole time.
What?
Yes. Absolutely.
Thank you. I mean, flattery will get you nowhere. But also, thank you.
So when are we going to get Sue Perkins on Design Dash?
Goodness, I mean, she's playing D&D now on D&D Live. It is a matter of time.
That's right.
But last but not least, we have Wes competing.
Hi, I'm Wes Schneider. I am a mediocre baker and a poor gardener. I am also the person in this group that has gifts at his desk at the wizard's office for multiple people in this call for the awesome work that they did on Mythic Odysseys of Theros. But as you know, all of that's happening right now. Those gifts are somewhat delayed, so my apologies.
Thank you for thinking of us.
Yeah, thank you.
Everyone thinks this is very sweet, but I suspect he's trying to lower your guard as competition.
It's a glitter bomb.
Wes looks like he's actually reclined on his wooden floor at the moment. That's not actually his backdrop.
I keep wanting, with a little more energy, I would have put Getty images or something to make this look like this was a really poor Zoom background, but who can be ours?
The Willy Boo in chat says Wes is baking some pound cake.
Mm.
Wow, it's starting
Great.
already.
We're doing this. Fantastic. Jessica Ross, world's greatest monster.
See, these are all great British baking show references. I'm not getting. I'm a Project Runway guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So which Project Runway host would or judge would you say you're probably going to be most like?
Oh my gosh. I don't know, but I have made the switch because they've gone from Project Runway and now there's also the Making the Cut. So we have been diligently watching both shows.
Oh, wow. I had no idea even. There's
Oh,
also
yes.
now like Next in Fashion on Netflix, or this has nothing to do with design.
It's like, go. I mean,
We'll save it for when they're designing here.
Okay. Let's get back to the competition. All right, so I'm about to reveal the theme, but before I do that, chat, you play a really important role. As everyone is designing, it is up to you to help us put together a rubric. Kind of like whose line is it anyway? The rubric at the end of the day doesn't matter, but you know what? It's fun. So you're going to help us come up with a scale. So instead of stars, 1 out of 5 whats. And then also we'll pick 3 categories to sort of grade or rate each encounter as we go through. And they should be tied to the theme in some way. And goodness, we have 3 editors and designers who helped work on Mythic Odysseys of Theros. So I wonder if this could be related to that. And yet probably not what you were expecting at all. All right, is everybody ready? The secret theme for Design Dash Dragon Plus edition is Battle of the Leggies, Satyrs versus Centaurs. So you're going to design us an encounter about Satyrs versus Centaurs, but because you are all pros, a secret theme is not enough. There is a twist. Hannah is not pleased. The secret theme, or the secret twist, is that you must include not a legendary action, not even a mythic action, but a super uber supreme action must be included in your encounter in some way. You may begin now. Now is the part of the competition that's most difficult for me. It is 1:08 right now. So you will have until we'll give you an extra minute, 1:24 to design. Everybody, go dash. All right,
All right,
gets
good
the
luck,
really
everyone.
Focused faces now. I love seeing everyone's design faces. Jess in chat suggests rubric, amount and quality of puns. I will let everyone throw out your rubric ideas. I will keep an eye on some of our favorites. In the meantime, Bart, what's going on at D&D? Is a little something happening this week?
Yeah, it's been a week. We've been gearing up and preparing, obviously, for D&D Live 2020, which will be taking place starting tomorrow, I believe, at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We will be launching on Twitch and also on YouTube Live. You can find things as far as details go on the Dungeons & Dragons website, dungeonsanddragons.com or dnd.wizards.com. Main link, just go ahead and click there and you can find out all of the details on D&D Live 2020. As always, we're super excited for everyone to join us. We'll be talking about new product and storyline reveals. We'll be having some great live play games with some luminaries, including the recently announced Cast of Thrones game with several participants from the Game of Thrones series. So we've got some panels, and the Reality RP event will also be underway as well. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be taking place Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. This, I want to say, is the 4th year that we have been doing a D&D live style event. The last 2 years we were down in Los Angeles, and the year before we were here in Seattle. Things being what they are, of course, we're doing a remote virtual event. So everyone will be participating from the safety of their own home or office or studio, wherever that may be. So It's a bit of a different one this year, but as always, we're still glad and thankful that we're able to come together in this way, and we're certainly looking forward to everyone joining us as well.
Yeah, I feel like the event evolves so much every year, and then this year, of course, there was a lot to adapt to.
Yes, there was, and I mean, big shout out. Greg Tito and was leading the charge way back when for putting these events together. When we were first doing it in Seattle, it was the Stream of Annihilation, and we were trying to figure out, well, what are we going to call this thing, and how are we going to do it? And it was really in part to also help further kick off some of the live stream programming that we were getting up and running on the Dungeons and Dragons Twitch channel. And it's been growing ever since. So it's been pretty exciting to know kind of where we've come from and where we've still been taking things. So
I know that we're excited about all of the really, really cool like actors and folks who are playing D&D, but do you have a favorite thing that's coming up for D&D Live?
A favorite thing
that you're looking forward to?
Let's see.
Like Game of Thrones is pretty exciting that the cast is reuniting.
Yes, I'm excited on a couple of fronts.
Uh-oh. Did Bart disappear or just freeze? I'm left alone.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Bart is here. You're just a little bit frozen for me, but I can hear you.
I knew this would happen. This is the bingo card that you had for technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties. Fill out your bingo cards, everybody. Okay, so I'm seeing in chat we're getting a lot of really great rubric suggestions. Bunkerman91 said a number of hooves. I wasn't able to write one down, this one down, the name of the person who suggested it, but someone suggested dragons, number of dragons. Oh, it looks like we may have lost Bart, but he's jumping in. I will do a shuffle of everybody's windows in just a second. Welcome back, Bart.
Thanks. I knew this was going to happen. This is always going to happen when I'm down here in my little home office with unstable internet, which we still upgraded. So, hey, what are you going to do?
Yeah, we got you back in place on the screen. Easy peasy.
So really quickly, just to answer your question about what I'm excited for, I'm really glad that we are partnering with Red Nose Day, the charity that has been sort of an ongoing charity. They have a Red Nose Day. This is in support of it beyond the day itself, but there's ways to take part, whether you're donating to participate in some of the game table spots itself, or the apparel that we have with our very cute owl bear, or the adventure that we have up on the DMsGuild as well. So I'll make that my most favorite thing about this year that we have not done in years past. Was connect to a very, very good and worthy cause.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Folks, if you donate to Red Nose Day, you're able to sign up to play games as well. So I'm really excited that there's gameplay that the community can get involved in. I think there's like 4 different adventures that they're able to sign up for, 3 or 4. And because it's online, you can be anywhere in the world as long as the time zone. As long as you can find a time slot that works out for you. So that's really exciting. But I want to start putting together this rubric. Chat, you've had some great suggestions. There was a word that was used that I did not know. I'm scrolling back up. The Willy Boo says, ratio of ungulate to humanoid. And then I think Bunkerman clarified, ungulate is a hoofed mammal. So there's your word of the day, everybody. Ungulate. Whereas undulate is to wobble. In which case, Willy Boo corrected himself and now says amount of undulation. But I like that idea of number of the ratio of ungulates to humanoids. That's a good one.
I'm just glad to have learned a new word. That's
right?
awesome.
I didn't know that at all. And then someone said number of satyrs riding centaurs. Centaurs? Centaurs? Now I don't know how to say it. It's like when you kind of see a word too many times and then you don't know how to spell it. Now I don't know how to say that word. And then someone said it could also be number of undulating ungulates. Could be the scale as well. But we need some that have different words in them. So the words I can say more easily, please.
Also, great names for bands, the Undulating Ungulates.
Yes. Ooh, Doug in Texas, I like this one. Best use of satyr and centaur puns. How about we broaden that to most puns in general? Most puns. I hear that Wes loves puns so much. I saw it on the internet, which I think means it has to be true. Most puns. That's going to be one of our categories.
I had an old professor of Shakespeare, and if no one was participating in the class discussion, she would just keep rattling off puns until everyone was so annoyed that they were willing to speak up and say something.
Oh my goodness.
So it was weaponized punning.
I feel like that's a good way to make sure people are paying attention too.
That also worked. It was kind of impressive how many she could just pull out of her hat at any one time. So it was a skill. It's a skill.
Oh my God. James Hake in the chat says, in quotes, Wes Schneider loves puns. Abraham Lincoln on the internet. Okay, but folks, what should the scale for our rubric be? In the past 2 episodes, I think it was like number of kobolds stacked in a trench coat, 1 to 5. So that's like the level that we're dealing with. Let's keep it like real professional like that. And fun and creative. Bunkerman91 says, you could call it a punishment.
Oh, there you go. So it begins.
Boo says, a Wes pun of mass destruction. Ooh, several people got that one. Number of rodeos in your history. I wonder if someone will do like a rodeo sort of thing because it's hooved creatures. So
have you ever attended a rodeo?
Like a real live rodeo?
Yes. Not
like a I don't know what the alternative would be. But no, have you?
I have. When I was growing up, I was an Army brat, and one of the Army bases we were stationed at was Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, outside of El Paso, Texas. And so that was one of the activities we would go to. The rodeo was at the convention center.
Oh my goodness. Is it like exactly as one would imagine from TV shows and stuff?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. My dad took me there and same place to go see the Harlem Globetrotters. So that was pretty awesome. Not on the same night, but.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I've written down 3 categories. So how does this sound to you, Bart? The categories in which we'll rate people will be most puns, most rodeos, and ratio of ungulates to humanoids.
Okay.
Which I feel like if there's 0 humanoids and that's like on the bottom of the ratio, do you get like a weird calculator error from that? Because that could happen if there's no non-satyr humanoids. Are satyrs fae? Someone in chat will be able to tell me. They're like vaguely humanoid shape, but that doesn't mean they're humanoids. Jack's not funny has entered the building and immediately says, I hope I haven't missed too many puns.
They've begun.
All right. So we have I think I told them it was 1:24. So there's 4 minutes left. TK confirms, yes, they are fae. Thank you for confirming. Jess assures Jack, there have been a lot of puns, but I'm sure there will be more. Chat, you always crack me up. All right, I'm going to take a little spy on these designs to see what folks have cooked up. I have Wes's design up on the screen right now. And Bart, if you have access to the folder in the original email I sent, you're able to pull them up as well, and are not beholden to the delay of the stream as we chit chat. Darkest Crow says Centaurs and Satyrs are both Fae and Theros. Thank you. Thank you for that knowledge. Wes, I am super impressed with some of this background that's been written. Ooh, and we're getting a cool list. Oh, you guys can't see it on the screen yet. Let me scroll some more. Oh, no. Oh. Let's see. How can I get the rest to show up? I think when they're done, I'll just put a bunch of enters at the bottom so they can see. So you can't see because I had to like adjust the screen to make room for the little dragon. Oh, this way. Dragon plus logo over there. But there are a number of cool names here.
It looked like it was on a delay. It just started scrolling.
Yeah.
There we go.
The names, I think, or I don't want to read too much because I don't want to spoil myself. I want Wes to read it for me. But there's words like Hup, the pork bird, the silver ever salmon. I'm very excited for whatever this list is.
I like that the list ends with yada yada.
Yeah.
So speaking of Mythic Odyssey of Theros, and obviously its connection to mythology and Greek mythology in particular, were you a fan of Greek mythology and those kinds of stories? Do you have a favorite myth?
Ooh, goodness. I feel like as a kid, legend and lore that I remember being really into were more like the King Arthur legends. But as far as Greek myth goes, I mean, a lot of folks know that I really like snakes and things. So Medusa's story has always been really compelling to me, and also frustrating because it feels like she got a really bum deal, and she deserves a way better story than that.
That seemed to be kind of a thread in a lot of Greek myths, which was, I didn't do anything here, and the gods have punished me, immeasurably. But yeah, I like the Medusa one as well. I had a great fondness for the labors of Hercules because it was very episodic. It was, kind of fight the monster of the week style of story, which I always liked. And then growing up with the first edition, not the Fiend Folio, but the Deities and Demigods book, seeing kind of all the mixture of the different myths, I always thought was really cool.
Did you ever get to play a game that was myth inspired?
No, but and this was kind of a bit of a trap with putting stats for a lot of these deities and demigods in a book, was that we definitely would pull them out to fight individually because they also had super cool loot that we would try and take them.
All right, time has been called behind the scenes, but I see several folks who are not hands up, utensils down. If we're now comparing this to Top Chef, but everyone's hands up now. I've been instructed by chat to welcome you back to Dungeon Masters Guild Design Dash.
No.
I don't understand. I don't know what that
means. But welcome back. How was that for everybody? Was it what you expected the experience to be?
It went better than my practices.
Oh, did you do practice rounds?
Oops, sorry, that's my timer reminding me. 5-minute increments. I did some practices last night, and because I don't usually write fast. In fact, I write very slowly. And they were stressful, but I think this went better.
I'm sure.
I guess we'll find out what the rubric is.
My favorite thing about Design Dash is that everybody has really different styles, both in the way they think about adventures and also design. So you have this one theme, but everybody does it in a really different way. And I've always loved every single design that's been on Design Dash. So I'm excited to hear yours, but we've got Wes up first. So Wes, go ahead and take us through your design.
So it's been 15 minutes and I have absolutely no memory of anything that I just wrote. So we're all going to be surprised together. Okay, all right. So for folks who aren't terribly familiar with Theros quite yet, as Lysa mentioned, this is a world where there are communities of satyrs. There are also multiple communities of centaurs. The satyr communities are best known for hosting these fabulous revels, just these like throw down, drag out celebrations of life, of community, of all of the best things in the world. And they're while they can get, sort of wild, I mean, they're earnest and they're exciting. And in the encounter that I've put together here, we start with the deep lore. So decades ago, the satyrs ended up inviting several of their centaur friends to participate in one of these revels. Because particularly if you're a centaur or if you're a satyr and you want to have races or you want to have contests and whatnot, you want to get the folks that are good at these things. So they have their centaurs along. And what the centaurs end up being most taken with is I'll read this section here. During one such revel with fair centaurs, the satyrs' guests were so enamored with their host's menu of delicacies that they spread tales of their culinary experience far and wide. Over years and retellings, these stories became minor myths of their own, and in Theros, no power is mightier than myth. So several of these delicacies became so legendary that in Theros, things that are legends can actually be reborn and reincarnated as Nyxborn. So several of these beasts that went into the creation of these delicacies were reborn as Nyxborn. So even though in some cases they were just like the satyrs are satyrs. They told the centaurs, oh yes, this meal comes from Hup the pork bird, a incredible bird that is made 100% out of the sweetest pork. Or this comes from the silver ever salmon, the salmon that has no pin bones and never runs out of the juiciest meat, so on and so forth. So now so that's the lore, that's the background.
This is both delicious and very disturbing.
So long story short, what the PCs end up getting into is they encounter the centaurs heading back to the 10-year anniversary of this satyr revel, and the satyrs are completely conflicted because they want to be good guests, so they want to bring a meal, they want to bring a dish along to their guests or to their hosts, and they're trying to decide which one of these incredible beasts to hunt down so they can revisit one of these storied meals. So the PCs are enlisted in picking one of these multiple mythical Nyxborn flavor beasts to hunt down, to prepare, and to offer up. All of the beasts are most likely just using either giant beast stat blocks or normal stat blocks, but what I was starting to get into when time got called is every one of them will have these, like, the incredible super action of mythic flavor, where if you end up damaging one of these creatures, there's a chance that you'll get just a whiff, or you'll just happen to catch like a fleck of like that good beast grease, that whatever, that like perfect smell, and you'll get a sense of how delicious that creature is. And how you respond to that, whether you are just completely overcome, whether you are charmed, or whether you just cast aside your arms and just need to, like, start tearing into that creature with your hands and forks or teeth or whatever, like, have manners. That's up to you.
That is amazing. I just want to know the rest of this encounter. I wish there had been more time.
Well, spoiler, Mythic Odysseys of Theros actually does feature Hup the pork bird. So in
Wait,
your
what?
write-up of Scolded Vale, you will find that creature.
What?
Hold on.
Wait, can we... oh no, I got a little signed
Vale.
out from
Scolded
my
Vale.
account. Oh no. Technical difficulties. Let's see what happens when I... Oh, no. There were 0 consequences. It just refreshed and went to the top. Cool. So Hup the pork bird, is it just like a name that's mentioned? Or...
Oh my god.
Satyrs
There
speak
is.
of both Kexos Rexos, the braided lion, and Hup the pork bird with equal awe. This is a sentence in Features of the Skola Vale.
What does a pork
Do you have the book
bird
open next to you, Wes?
even
No,
look like?
maybe.
I mean, I have it open on
None of your
DMsGuild,
business.
so I'm not judging. I just wish I had the physical book.
Yeah, in my own home, Hedda. How dare you?
So how did this compare to your usual design style? Was it like completely different? Is it actually pretty reflective of how you design encounters?
Oh, getting to like actually write and edit with like literally dozens of people like over my virtual shoulder. Oh no, this is great. I love this. This isn't a nightmare at all.
Would you
Why
say...
did I agree to this?
What of this encounter would you say is representative of your style, your tone in design?
That it's 90% lore and 10% casual content.
Fair enough.
I know my
love
jams.
lore.
Like
That's a compliment. That's a compliment on brand.
I'm looking it up right now. I'm looking at the features of the Skola Vale.
It's right
Yeah,
here.
there it is.
Guys,
I'm gonna-
D&D Beyond.
Are there
the
images
pork
in the
bird.
book of this pork bird?
no, actually, while I think the pork bird is pretty funny, the thing like I had to when James White and I were working on this was actually a section that got adjusted late in the process. And it was just like, okay, this is making me laugh, but I'm delirious at this point. So James, is this stupid or funny? And he was like, no, we need to keep that. But I think the thing that made me laugh the most was the name Kexos Rexos.
I want to challenge the DMsGuild creators who are watching to stat out those creatures ASAP and put them on the guild, because that would be awesome.
Yeah.
100% agree.
Please do this thing. Please also, like, I now stan one pork bird. So I would like Hup to become a recurring NPC across Theros products. Little
Please
flying
don't hunt and
piggies
kill the
just
pork
drawn
bird.
into cover art.
Yeah.
Oh, so what did you say, Hannah?
I said, please don't hunt and kill the pork bird. This is an endangered Nyxborn species.
Well, I want to see beef birds and chicken birds, which I guess are just chickens. Duck birds,
chicken
all the
versus
meats.
thistle chicken.
The pork bird is a personification of the when pigs fly phrase.
Oh, so I was like
Yes.
imagining like a bird body with a little pig head, or like just like a tiny snout instead of like a beak. But I guess is it just a pig with wings? Not that that's not amazing.
I was imagining a bird made out of pork.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true because it's pork, not pig. So this is now what the show is about.
Good, fantastic. You're welcome.
Which brings me back to our rubric, and I'm realizing we didn't figure out a scale. I think someone threw out, writers, we learned a fun word. I mean, maybe as writers you know, but I didn't, that ungulate are, I believe, hooved mammals, we learned. And so I think someone suggested 1 out of 5 undulating ungulates as our scale. So that's what we're rating on Bart. And the 3 categories were most puns. Now, I would say
Wait,
that...
the 3 categories?
Well, the first of 3 categories. All 3 categories.
They're all puns.
There's a really great pun in the chat. Pegasus. is also a great one if we're making more pork bird related titles and creatures. But I would say as even though there are many fun words in Wes's design, I don't think there was a single pun. Would you say
He's
that's
also
accurate, Bart?
I docked him even before he started because he seemed like a noted adversary of puns. But
What? That's shocking.
Yeah, I'll take that hit. That's fine.
So perhaps
That-
there's
that
a
category
least
is gonna
puns
be rough.
category.
Yeah,
That's
has
pretty-
taste minus 20 points. I'm fine with that.
I'm sorry, minus 20 undulating ungulates.
Ooh,
Fantastic.
on a
but-
scale
Thanks
of
for
1 to
having
5,
me.
that's harsh.
The next category from chat was most rodeos. Again, there's some great revelry happening here.
Yeah.
But technically not a rodeo, although is a revelry with centaurs. Like, I don't know if this is a sensitive subject now. Does that make it slightly a rodeo? That they just had a party and they have hooves?
Metaphorically?
Like a
Sure.
hooves party?
I'm also gonna throw out there that often hog tying, like catching and hog tying a pig, is part of a rodeo, and Hope the Pork Bird was featured.
I'm gonna say Wes has rodeo elements
I agree.
in this
Yes.
encounter. So I'm gonna say Wes is a contender for most rodeo. And then finally, the ratio of ungulates to humanoids. I believe there were 0 humanoids. There were beasts, there were fae, but no humanoids. So I think that makes the ratio infinity.
So
So
the math
Wes
is already
has infinity
broken
for
here.
that section.
Mhm. Cool, good.
Negative 20 is
Totally
nothing
viable,
compared to
logical rubric. Great.
All right, Wes, thank you so much for sharing your design with us, and also the secret of Hup the Pork Bird with everybody watching here.
My pleasure.
Yeah, Hannah, we're gonna move along to your design. Gonna
Okay.
refresh. I'm gonna make it not scary
Thank
and
you,
red anymore.
my eyes.
Yeah, so it's easier to read. There we go. Walk us through.
Okay. So normally when I'm writing and editing, I'm very against capitalizing things for the sake of like capitalizing them and saying, this is a game thing, this is important. But turns out when writing really fast, it's very useful. So this encounter is the big Bacchanalia Bonanza, which happens in this humble satyr village that, though humble, is very famous for satyr cider. So the big Bacchanalia Bonanza is this autumn holiday that celebrates the pressing of the apples for satyr cider. And this year's competition has extra special twist. A band of Laguna Centaurs have agreed to join the competition in exchange for a case of satyr cider, which they can trade as they travel the land. So there are 3 games that happen at the big Bacchanalia Bonanza. The first is a chariot race, but the chariots must be made out of cider barrels. So the characters participating in this event as a group can make an ability check to build their homemade chariot. And I guess the quality of their chariot will feature in later. And then one character is chosen by the group to participate in the race and has to make dexterity checks or wisdom checks to avoid other vehicles. So we have one character getting the spotlight with this cider barrel chariot race. There is your classic wrestling trial, which is some opposed strength checks for characters who wish to participate. And then the grand finale, the trial for the jug. And I think the winner was going to get some sort of very special drug as a grand prize, but I didn't get to that part. But the trial for the jug is a competition of duos. So the characters can choose a pair who will participate. And the winner of each round is the duo who retrieves the clay amphora from the center of the arena and carries it to the edge of the arena without breaking it. So the duo currently dominating this competition that the characters will go up against is a pair of somewhat tipsy new friends, Iakonos the Satyr and Kloptos the Centaur.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
It just happened, okay? It wasn't entirely on purpose. But they've developed their super uber supreme action. They are each wielding long spears. And so they charge through the arena. One of them uses their spear to whack the characters aside, or their foes aside, and the other catches the spear through one of the handles of the amphora and carries it on with this unstoppable charge the end of the arena to win. So the characters must figure out a strategy to defeat their competition and win the grand prize. And then after the competition, there are more festivities. But even this part is a competition because the Satyrs will choose 2 royal revelers to be crowned the biggest bacchanals of this year's big Bacchanalia bonanza. This is actually a little bit inspired by one of the encounters that Ashley Michaela Lawson Navigator wrote in our Encounters with Theros collection. So the characters can describe how they revel, and then I think I was going to have a mechanic where the harder they revel, so the higher their check is, they also have to make a Constitution saving throw against that DC. And the character who does the best but also succeeds in their Constitution saving throw is chosen as one of the royal revelers.
I love that little mechanic there. That's such a fun idea. And Hannah, like, just first of all, I know you mentioned that you were nervous about writing speedily, and I don't know if it was the practice or you were hustling us, but you wrote such a fun encounter with lots of different little parts that a DM can run with. I personally really like, I'm scrolling back up to it, the chariot race and like tricking out your cider barrel. I feel like similar to Hell Engines in Descent into Avernus that you can trick out. It's like really, I feel like people could get really excited and creative.
It's an infernal war machine race crossed with milk carton boat race during a cider festival.
Yeah, Bunkerman91 in chat says that this sounds super fun.
I appreciate the wrestling activity. I was going to say we've got a WWE D&D coming up this weekend for D&D Live. My only suggestion there is it's an opposed strength check, but maybe there could also be an opposed charisma check in WWE fashion if they're doing a little bit of verbal beatdown ahead of time.
Is it an opposed check, or is it if you beat a certain DC on your charisma check, you get advantage on your strength check?
There you go. That's right.
I love this, combining checks. That's super fun. So, Hannah, how would you say that this process compared to how you usually design?
So if the way I usually design is... Okay, I'm trying to think of an appropriate metaphor. If the way I usually design is like, it's completely different. I use up all my to the encounter. It's just the opposite. Usually I design by like writing half a sentence and then going away and being sad for 10 minutes and then coming back and deleting half of that half a sentence and then trying to write the rest of the sentence. And if I'm lucky, I write 2 sentences in the same sprint. So this is very different.
Would you say that this would influence how you do design in the future, or too stressful, never doing this again in your life?
No, I feel like this has helped kind of unblock me because I have participated in National Novel Writing Month before.
Oh.
And one of the things I did to try to write 50,000 words in a month was use tools like this wonderful, awful website that if you stop writing for too long, it starts to delete what you've written. So
No.
you have to keep writing.
Yeah. Write
even
or
if you're just
die.
repeating the same word. Yes, it's called
Yeah.
Write or Die. I highly recommend it.
Oh.
But also that the last time I participated in NaNoWriMo for real was like 2010.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that was a long time ago.
I'm just stressed hearing about this website.
Mhm.
Goodness
That's
gracious.
the worst website I've ever heard in my life.
It's what Aaron M. Evans uses to write.
Oh, it's like I
yeah.
couldn't do that for D&D design in general,
Yeah.
right? That just
Yeah.
does not work for D&D design. Do not recommend it for that, because there is a lot more thinking and research. Like anybody who's like, oh yes, I write 10,000 words in a day. No, you're not going to do that for D&D design. That's not how it works.
Oof. Totally agree. Before we move on to James, though, let's take a look at our rubric. Most puns. I see folks in chat saying that Satyr cider, especially the way I saw you spell it, is in pun territory for sure.
We're definitely in wordplay.
Normally I'm against excessive alliteration and capitalization, but that also all goes out the window.
There was also Kloptos, the centaur. So I would say right now you are probably most puns. What do you think, Bart?
I agree. I don't know about a true pun or not, but we're definitely in wordplay territory, and Kloptos definitely puts it into the yes category.
Now, while there were definitely those same sort of ungulates, reveling, rodeo elements, I would say with the hog tying for Wes, I would say he still probably is holding on to most rodeo.
It's close. I think they're comparable. We definitely have some revelry going on in both cases here.
Yes. I'm sure James's will be very dour.
As usual, yes.
Yeah. But this also is infinity ungulates to humanoids ratio. So if it gets down to it, we might need to have chat help us figure out who is most infinity, which I guess would be determined by who we think has the most centaurs and satyrs in their encounter. So chat, please start thinking about that. And as James shares his encounter as well. So Hannah, thank you very much for sharing your really, really fun festival encounter with us. James, we are going to move on to your design. I'm going to highlight everything. Oops. Highlight everything.
You can keep it red if you want, Lysa, because this is all about Perforos. So we're diving in there.
Yeah. All right, talk us through.
Okay, so my encounter is called "Let's Get Ready to Anvil," and it is about Erolos, a centaur weaponsmith, and Thelaclea, a satyr armorer, who face off in a crafting battle in a volcanic temple of Perforos, where things get heated. And I did write that down just as we're keeping track of puns here. So I might win this. Wes will never hire me again.
Nope.
So the setup is that every year in the volcanic temple of Mount Crafticus, we have these two who are now elderly smiths sort of face off in a crafting battle. One makes a weapon, one makes a piece of armor, and all of the priests and crafters of Perforos gather. But there are two other smiths, one a satyr and one a centaur, who are like, hey, we could make the greatest sacrifice of all to Perforos. Because this is the last year this competition is happening. They're about to retire. They're tied up. They just need to figure out who's going to win, right? But these two young upstarts, they're like, what if we just sacrifice these smiths to Perforos, right? That would be the greatest gift of all because they're such great smiths, and then we'll have the favor of Perforos. So that's some D&D villain logic for you right there. So these two baddies who are named Cleon and Taurus, they have a magic metal spike that so the competition takes place on this little island within the volcano that's surrounded by a river of lava. They once the competition goes on, about an hour in, the players have a chance to make a perception check to spot these young upstarts sliding this magic metal spike into the lava. And if they succeed, they are not surprised when a giant phoenix and fire elementals erupt from the river, and the river starts spewing lava on initiative count 0 every turn, hitting people with lava. And so it's obvious the elementals are going for these older smiths who are in the center of the competition. Players have a chance to step in and defend them. And if a player grabs both the shield that is being created by the older satyr master smith and the spear that is being created by the older centaur smith, they can then perform the supreme uber ultimate action, which is that they can ride the shield like a hoverboard through the air and throw the shield at all creatures of their choice, dealing 5d10 piercing damage on a successful hit. Also, they can turn into a fire elemental per the wild shape rules for 1 hour and get the benefit of the haste spell. So, because if you're going to go Supreme and Uber, that's how it is. If the evil Centaur and Satyr are incapacitated, the elementals run amok, attacking anyone, not just the older smiths. And if the characters save the older smiths, they can keep the shield and spear as a reward. Plus, they're invited to come inhale the sweet, sweet poison fumes of the volcano to inspire creativity. And so that is Let's Get Ready to Anvil.
That was wow. I would say we didn't even think we were so focused on centaurs and satyrs, we didn't even think about grading the rubric on anything to do with how super uber supreme the encounter was. And I think if there were a category, this action is the super uber supremist. Yeah, James, what would you say this encounter reflects of your design style that folks might see in other works by you?
I think that I like really ridiculous and over-the-top things. And so there's some other stuff on the DMsGuild that I've written, like Invasion from the Planet of Tarrasques.
Yes.
Is probably the most gonzo thing that comes to mind. That I really like. One of the things that is so attractive about Theros to me is like everything is larger than life and heroic and mythic and awesome. And so that is often reflected in the style of my work, even if they're like, let's have a quaint little horror encounter, you know? And I'm like, cool, but what if the ghost was 20 feet tall? Everybody's like, all right, settle down there. Settle down.
Bart, do you have any questions for James about his encounter?
No, I'm just wondering if they are able to secure the shield and the spear for keepsies. Do they also retain the super awesome power to fly around and throw it at everyone, or is that limited to sort of this particular encounter session?
You know, that's a great question that I would probably get to in revisions. Yes, Hannah, I will call on my editor, Hannah, to answer this.
What if they can do it, but only if they have a sufficiently high piety score with performance?
Yes. Yeah, and maybe it burns your piety to use it, right? So
or maybe you could only do it like divine intervention, right?
Yes.
You can only it takes a while to recharge.
Yeah, you've got a
long cooldown ability.
I like it. I like it.
Cooldown.
Or geographically, if it's limited to proximity to volcanoes, which might,
right.
How often you can employ it.
I don't know if does anyone in chat keeping track of how many puns / wordplay James infused into this? Also, I feel like this is definitely most lava. There was a lot of lava.
Yeah, so what happened was I was like, what is the lore for centaurs and satyrs? And then I was like, I don't really remember, but I do remember Perforos, and that's how this encounter came about.
But we got a really fun encounter out of it. So I think that works for us. Yeah. All right, I think James might be a contender for most puns on our rubric. I haven't even been grading these on undulating ungulates because it's so hard to say. Chat, why did you say that to me? Do that to me. Yeah.
That particular category broke the rubric.
Yeah. For rodeos, I feel like this is least rodeo of all of our encounters.
so.
I'm sorry to say, James.
Oh, I didn't
Hannah,
mention
you're
everyone is wearing a cowboy hat.
Oh, okay. This changes things. This
I didn't get to
Nice.
add that, but that was everybody's got a lasso and a cowboy hat. Yeah, and so there's part of it too.
Had it made it
Sounds like a
in those
win.
15 minutes. A ratio of ungulates to humanoids is also infinity, but I think it's the least infinity because there were individuals on this one. We can count the number of ungulates.
Yeah, countable infinity versus uncountable infinity. That is a difference.
Yes, yes. So a countable infinity for James. So I am thinking, as we have like, if we had, imagine like an award ceremony and you're all on podiums that is just one podium platform. You're all at the same level. But you're getting medals that say different things or little trophies. James, I would
Can I
say
have
that.
an amphora?
What was that?
Can I have an amphora as my trophy?
Oh, sure.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Laurel wreath.
James, yours will say that we are going to crown you most puns. And in fact, I'm going to say it is most super uber supreme puns. So we get that in there. Wes, yours was certainly most rodeo at the end of the day. So congratulations on most rodeo. And Hannah, that means that I think with the number of attendees to this festival, it's not just a party or a dinner party, it's a whole festival of ungulates. You have the most infinity ratio of ungulates to humanoids. Congratulations.
All right, everyone. Most rodeo does sound like something that is an actual, phrase that you would bestow upon somebody in social media somehow.
Yeah.
I already added it to my resume.
Gosh, goodness gracious, we just have 3 minutes left. This hour always flies by. I really enjoyed everyone's encounters and that everyone took a little bit of time out of your day to do something a little bit crazy with us. So thank you. Should we do some outros? And we'll go in like the opposite order on my screen. So we'll start with James.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for watching, everybody. I'm James Introcaso. You can find out more at jamesintrocaso.com and my Kickstarter for 5e boss battles at fantasticlairs.com.
That was succinct. Hannah.
I am Hannah Rose. You can find me on the internet at Wild Rose Mage, and some of my recent work, including Encounters in Theros on the DMsGuild and Ancestry and Culture. Alternative rules for racial ability scores and traits in 5th edition on Drive-Thru-RPG.
Thank you, Hannah. Wes.
I'm Wes Schneider, and folks probably aren't going out and spending as much on coffee and whatnot these days. So if you just hop on Twitter, you can find a ton of Black Lives Matter and other fantastic charities to donate to. Many of them would super appreciate your $3, $5, $10. So please, if you have the opportunity, go out there. Good.
Awesome.
100%.
Yeah. And I am Lysa Penrose, at Lysa Penrose on Twitter. I'm the brand manager for Dungeon Masters Guild, which you can also follow at DMs_Guild. If you're not familiar with DMsGuild, it's a platform where you can find all sorts of licensed 5th edition adventures, supplements, player options, or even publish your own wildly creative ideas. Right now we have 2 charity efforts going on. So if you go to dungeonmastersguild.com, you might need to refresh a few times, but we have different banners at the top. There's one banner spotlighting Black creators. We're donating our portion of the proceeds to the charity of their choice. And there's also 3 bundles supporting Black Lives Matter, the NAAC Legal Defense and Educational Fund, the National Police Accountability Project. So please check out those bundles. Those are available through Sunday. And then we're also joining D&D's efforts to support Red Nose Day. So we also have a banner that links to a product called Guild Notes, which again, if you're totally unfamiliar with Dungeon Masters Guild, this is a sampler product where you can try some of the best titles available on DMsGuild right now. A bunch of stuff from the Guild Adepts, previews of titles that we're really excited excited, like James Introcaso's My Dad's Monster Manual.
Ooh, edited by Hannah Rose.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, and also if you like Eberron, Keith Baker's Exploring Eberron has a preview in there as well. All proceeds from Guild Notes go to Red Nose Day. So please, 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 if nothing else, check out our charity efforts this week. And then I'm going to hand the show back to Bart.
I'll just say a very quick thank you for everyone participating, watching, and Lysa running the Design Dash this week. It's very much appreciated. Thanks for everyone for tuning in, spending an hour of your time with us. We look forward to those who can attend D&D Live 2020 virtually. We'll see you there. Thanks as always to our followers, our subscribers, of course, to our moderators. And we will be back, I believe, next week, with Jeremy Crawford and Dan Dillon, unless they're wiped out from D&D Live, in which case we'll figure that one out when we get there. But again, on behalf of Dragon Plus, thanks so much for everyone participating and watching.
Thanks for having us.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thanks, guys.